Hello, everyone. This is Scott Smith with another Saturday service message. I've stopped dating these in the videos themselves because I believe in the standalone message being relevant to whenever it is that you see it. It is not a reading, as in foretelling your future. It is a reading, as in I'm reading the patterns and giving you my creative, artistic, and magical take on them. So, without further ado, we continue on with things. We're using the Tarot of the Spirit, which is one of my original decks that I trained on while I worked with the Rider-Waite, and I think the Thoth, maybe even Tarot of the Cat people originally. I ended up glomming onto this deck and through a series of strange events, not reading the instructions correctly, meditating on the cards for 6 years, going through them one by one to get the meanings myself, and then reflecting on the meanings in the book to really learn the tarot. And that's how I really got into it. That's how I really started. It's one of my favorite decks to use, and I consider it a pattern reading deck of guidance. So it tends to pull things from the bigger perspective, from the overworld perspective, looking down on things to find patterns and meaning. And then if you're tuned into the Patreon, there is the 7-day reading, which sort of breaks things down in a more tangible way over the next 7 days. That's a separate reading on the Patreon itself, and that is in written format with photos for you. So anyways, without further ado, we're working today with 3 cards. I was inspired by the 3 rays of the Temple of Witchcraft. That is templeofwitchcraft.org. Love, Will, and Wisdom. These 3 primary rays of expression as they come through for us um, have mirrors in psychology and in other traditions as well. I sort of look at them as what I'm feeling, what is the experience or expression of feeling, what I'm thinking, what is the experience expression of thinking, and what is the wisdom mind or the wisdom that comes from both of those things. So when I draw 3 cards for the 3 rays, and I'm doing a let's look at what the pattern might be, I'm looking at those 3 things: feeling, thinking, and what's the wisdom when those 2 things come together, right? A third point. This week we have the, let's see, we have the devil, we have the empress, and we have the 10 of coins, and this one's the 10 of earth, also called the great work. If you're involved in magic, you know what that means maybe. So let's dive into those 3 points, and I'll sort of go through in brief what I think they mean. And I invite you to pull your own cards. You may draw those 3 cards out from your deck, put them on your altar, think about them, see what comes up for you. The best that can come out of working with the tarot is you sitting in front of them and you letting the images open up your own psyche and stir your memory and bubble up from your own cauldron to find your meaning. And I always support looking at the book afterwards just to say, this is what it felt like to me, or this is what I thought, or this is what I saw. And the creator drawing on the wisdom of a fixed oracle system of cards that have meaning, that those cards mean a certain thing. How did my feeling, vision, or thought align with that, and what does it mean? Because we put all these things together, right, to find really what the meaning is. It's not just the book, or it's not just your feeling. It's both, right? Finding the wisdom in between. So the devil is our wisdom point. The Empress is our power point. She's our thinking point. And the Ten of Pentacles is our love point. So let's look at those 2 things. I'm going to jump ahead in my notes because I really want to start at the thinking and the feeling parts before we get to the wisdom bit. So with the Empress as a PowerPoint, she's really telling us about, like, the order of things and the way that our conscious mind might engage it, or the way that we think through and process things. And she embodies the immense powers of the earth. She is, the voluptuous embodiment of nature's sacred grandeur. The Emperor reminds us that our body and the earth are one and the same temple, right? You are the temple, right? You are nature. You are magic. You are animal, right? Within her, within you, resides the inherent beauty and power, just as it does in the natural world, and her energy is tethered to Venus. So she speaks not of the aggressive force. When we talk about fire of nature, we're not talking about Mars, right? Because that Mars energy is very martial, right? It's Martian. It's got force to it. But nature's fire, right, is this tempering of Venus, this sphere of energy tempts us to evolve our fire of anger or our fire of will into something creative, beautifying, artistic, sensuous, pleasurable, and genuine, right? Those are good keywords when I start to think about the Empress in regards to this message this week, where if I have a lot of energy, how do I creatively work with this? Because we don't just want to be like, ugh, anger, right? We want to be, ooh, anger, and we what? Because she represents the thinking mind, right? The Empress in our message this week, she represents the thinking mind. How are you creatively? How do you use your creative mind to come up with this? Find connections, right? Look for beauty, create artistically, right? And I don't mean like Picasso's and Susan Seaton Boulez, right? Like whatever creativity is your ability to take something and put it together with something else. There's no judgment about the outcome of it. It's just the operation or the process of being creative with something rather than just acting on it or dismissing it intellectually. The Empress says, how do you work with beauty? Our feeling point is very interesting because this is the Ten of Earth, this is the Ten of Pentacles. So this is our point of love. This asks us about our feelings, right? And this card is the great work. So what is the great work? The great work is considered like the work of the soul, like the work you're really here or feel called or that you arrive at that you want to do. Because I don't want it to make it like we all come here with a mission, right? That's very new agey, like propaganda. Like there's a purpose that you're here and you don't know what it is, but someone else does, right? Pish posh, right? The great work is what you discover as much as it is you arrive at the point where you feel like it's a message that you were given before you came into this world, or it's something that you creatively came up with yourself. Both are correct, right? So this really is the Ten of Coins. So this is prompting us to remember not just the conclusion, but what's next. Because what's 10 but a 1 and a 0? It is a process that has gone through a cycle and is starting at something new, right? When we see this, I'm reminded, because I was catching up on Nine Perfect Strangers this week to watch the new season, and the quote that Masha said in it to one of the characters in season 1 was, "Your life has been about tearing down. You target the bullies and destroy them. The question is, have you ever nurtured anything? Have you ever been a vehicle for growth?" And this perfectly encapsulates the essence of the Ten of Earth message right now, because this says, while destruction is a necessary part, that anger, that power, right, that's there, there's also the aspect of transformation. And the great work is, what's the vision of that afterwards? What's the build up? What's the seed of what's next? Because we can't stay. We just can't stay in the destruction. We can't stay in the angst of against, right? We must be for what's for next, right? So this is reminding us of it's not just the immediate, and that maybe our emotions might be tugged into whatever's immediately happening, into the next, into the next, into the next, but to think about the bigger picture, to think about the potential or the vision of where we'd like to be next. So this is understanding that the breakdown process is not only recognizing what needs to be released, but never losing sight of the next step, which was walking towards a goal or vision. Destruction without vision is incomplete. Understand the cyclical nature of life, where endings pave the way for new beginnings, and our role is fostering the growth and creation of what's next, as much as we want to be involved in the catabolic process, and that's very easy with that energy of the Empress there to say, like, let it burn, right? Tear it down. This one says, think about the structure next, honey. That's very important. So what's the wisdom that arises from this? This comes back, if you read the description, I started here, right? This is the devil. This is our point of wisdom. So this is our misunderstood card, especially if we grew up in any sort of religious background or we have that sort of embedded in our psyche that this is a bad person. This is not, right? I invite you to read Elaine Pagel's The Origin of Satan. That's a very interesting book with lots of interesting stories inside it. But I digress. This really is the one that represents the teacher in matter, the initiator embedded in our physical lives. This is the one that opens us to the mysteries. While we may be born from the mother and to her embrace we return, This is the one that guides us through all those little processes in between, right? So he's an important figure. Not necessarily a bad guy, but he can seem like a challenger, right? He can seem like one who challenges us because he's testing our tenacity. He's testing our, are we really in it for the great work? Or is this just a blown out emotional outbreak that we're having right now? Or is this a temporary pleasure, right? Nothing wrong with temporary pleasures, right? It was just, this is the initiator. This is the tester here. So he says, remember that this planet is the most sacred place. This is where it happens. This is the sacred source. It's not some higher place. It's not some beyond world in which we earn our points to get there. Here, life is the sacred source itself. And if Empress is reminding us that our body is the temple, right? It's, ooh, like, wake up to this, right? There's important information that's happening for us right now about what's next, the great work, right? So what is it? What's the wisdom that's arising there in the world of what's happening, right? In the world of what's occurring around us, not our feelings, not our thoughts, but what's happening, right? This interaction between these three nodes, my feelings, my thoughts, and what's happening, this is where he's residing. This is what he's teaching us. It's in this place. He says, the true chains that bind us are not the external force, but our own beliefs and illusions about our realities. This devil's lesson is very clear. Examine your perspective and ensure that you are not held captive by preconceived notions preventing you from seeing the world as it truly is. Embrace an open mind. For genuine wisdom comes from an unclouded perception of reality. Right? Meditation could be a good one this week too. Not to escape, but to engage, right? The way forward is through, right? The discomforts are rungs on a ladder in which we are climbing, right? So this week, we're guided by this energy of the devil, the Empress, and the Ten of Earth. And it centers on a reminder of our connection to the earth through our life and our personal journeys. This one's telling us to shed limited beliefs and embrace the earth as our ultimate source of wisdom. Don't be fooled by our illusions. The Empress reminds us of our inherent power and beauty, right? She's there to say, like, hey, babe, you are nature. You're connected to this. To urge your tempers and turn them into passion. With bring in the love to find connection. Right. This tempered fire with beauty connects us more intimately with in a way that might serve you better. And then this final one is the 10 of Earth, and this is the compelling to engage in the whole process and not just the needs of the immediate process. It's not just about burning the bridge. It's not just about the pushback against whatever might be pushing against us. What's the vision? Because if we get lost in the push pull or the immediate, we lose sight of the bigger picture. That's an important thing that might be coming through for you right now to consider what that is. These cards encourage us to live mindfully, to embrace our wisdom, power, and love, and find our wisdom mind within them. That this is something that is both within us and about us, right? This is in our experience and in our feelings and thoughts about our experiences, especially as we navigate a time of continual changes. There's lots of things on the board right now. Consider in what way you can acknowledge your feelings through beauty, art, and creativity. How you can honor the parts that need to be worked through, right? By remembering where you'd like to be, right? Stop demonizing the world around you and start embracing that these are all portals of opportunity initiation. There are doors we can walk through or step away from, but ultimately, right? Stop making devils out there, right? Start to find the message that's embedded in the experience found between your feelings and your thoughts. This is your heart. This is your body. It is sacred. You are wise. It is within you. Tap into that and find your beauty. Yes, yes. Those are our cards for the week. 7-day reading on the Patreon. That is a subscription which you pay for. This is the free one I like to give everybody. It is my joy to do this. Um, I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have additional questions, I suggest drawing some cards for yourself and seeing what they mean, adding to the story for you. Hit your reader up. Be like, hey, I want to know about these 3 cards for me this week. What does it mean? You know, If you need an outside perspective, sometimes we need an outside perspective. We don't, in fact, know everything we need for us, right? We're here to learn to be us, and we learn best with others. I'm Scott Smith. You can find me at patreon.com/ScottKSmith, where readings are hosted and expanded. You can find me at starandstonellc.com, which is where you can also book a reading with me, online or in person. I'm there. You can see me on my Instas and on various groups and pages. I'm not on all the socials, but on many of them. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to cancel my recording now, and we'll stop there. So, blessed be, blessed be, blessed be.